I didn't mention this in your bio, but you've worked for some really big names, like Haverty's you were with for almost 15 years, and they have thousands of employees. When you're hiring, one, I'd love to know what are the differences, or are there any? Maybe you're looking at the same fundamental things when you're hiring thousands of employees for a larger company versus maybe you're only hiring, 20 or 50 for a smaller company.
Right. That's a really good point. And my short answer would be there's no difference. And that answer is based on two things. Again, remember that whether you're a 10,000 employee, I spent time with Ted Turner and Turner Broadcasting. We were 10,000 employees at that time, all over the world. But the point is this: whether you're hiring one employee today or 10 or 20 today, think of it as brick by brick by brick. You are either building a culture, maintaining a culture, or changing a culture, depending what the goals of the organization are. And so the difference in size, maybe not a great analogy, but if I throw a rock into a bathtub, it makes a big splash and it makes a big deal. If I throw it into the ocean, it doesn't.
Right.
But
that's a great analogy.
Be careful of that, because one person literally can change the chemistry of a team. And remember, those huge organizations fall down into small departments, small different disciplines. So it's a great question. I think it matters no matter the size of the organization. And frankly, whether it's a business, whether it's for-profit, non-profit, it's an organization. It's a chemistry experiment of people.
Yeah. So in your experience, what are some of the key things that you look for when hiring? And I'm also curious to know how that has changed due to COVID, right? Because so many things are happening virtually now. And you mentioned, with Turner having employees all over the world. So let's dive into that. How have things changed, and what are people looking for?
I think that there's a constant. So let me start by saying that there's a lot of, frankly, bad practices in the hiring process. Some of those are driven by decades of practice, and the most prominent one that comes to mind is the resume, right? And the fact that many hiring managers focus on the resume, and they will do that physically in an interview. They'll literally have the resume in front of them and say, I see on your resume here that, and the candidate, by the way, unfortunately has been trained to rely on their resume. So in other words, one of the things that's changed, one of the things I advocate in the book, is put the resume away. Okay, resumes are about things. The hiring process that I'm advocating and building your team is about people. And they're two very different things. So the point is this: resume type interviewing has been around forever. Interviewing for behavioral skills and behaviors and past performance is not necessarily new, but it's still something that people have to get comfortable with. What's changed with COVID? I think this was before COVID. I think COVID accentuated it. Technology has moved into this space very much, certainly in the last 10 years. And by that specifically, I mean online assessment tools. We have an opening for fill in the blank. You have a resume. Let's send you to some antiseptic site that you have to fill out some series of questions, and that will automatically give us back an assessment, which, by the way, of course, will tell us if you're qualified or not. COVID accentuated that because of everything else online. And by the way, a lot of organizations did a lot of hiring in COVID. And so they couldn't stop. But again, that technology's been around pre-COVID. And then during COVID, the whole concept of online Zoom interviews. I have a daughter-in-law who's a very, very talented attorney in New York City. In the last, let's say, 3 to 4 or 5, 6 months, she was sourced, interviewed, onboarded, and hired completely virtually. And by the way, she's been working for, again, a couple, 3 months. Technically has never met in person And this is a large law firm. So technology is definitely the impact. COVID accentuated the Zoom part and the virtual part. I am absolutely a fan of technology, but I'm fearful that too many people use it as a push the automatic button.
Yeah.
If the computer says that you're qualified, the profile we've set up, you've fallen within that profile, then my work is done. Really, why would I fight, the data, so to speak?
Right. Which is interesting because I feel like technology cannot pick up on those human cues, right? Like there are just some things that a computer is unable to do. Even, taking a candidate that's nervous. Most candidates get nervous, right? You could discount one of your best hires ever just for the fact that they were a little bit nervous during the interview. And I feel like technology just doesn't pick up on that.